Hi there, Silverado owners. Today in your 2019 Chevrolet Silverado 3500, we're going to be installing B&W's custom underbed installation kit for B&W's companion fifth wheel trailer hitches.
This fifth wheel installation kit is designed to let you install your B&W companion fifth wheel trailer hitches. The underbed design of the kit allows for full truck bed access, and when you're ready, it's under 5 minutes to convert your empty truck bed into a fifth wheel hitch. We'll start off by unlocking our B&W hitch and installing our fifth wheel adapter. We have ours pre-assembled, but you can adjust the uprights here depending on your truck and trailer combinations. At this point, the hitch is ready to attach to a trailer. There's a little clip here that you release. Basically, it's a safety pin. Then you swing the handle out and you can watch the jaws open, ready to back up onto your trailer. Once you're secure onto your trailer, you can reinstall the clip. And since the fifth wheel installation kit doubles as a gooseneck hitch, when you're not towing your fifth wheel, you can remove it. This frees up the hole to reinsert the hitch ball when you need it. Now we'll go ahead and show you how to install the custom underbed kit for the B&W companion fifth wheel trailer hitches.
We'll begin our installation in the back of the truck. You'll want to mark out the location where you'll drill your 4-inch hole for your gooseneck ball to poke through. You'll want to refer to your instructions for the appropriate location, as this is going to vary depending on the length of the bed of your truck. We've already got ours marked out here. We've got our 4-inch hole saw prepared.
We're going to drill our pilot hole in the center.
After you've drilled your pilot hole, you can go ahead and cut out your 4-inch hole. We can now clean up our metal shavings. And we'll use some Clearcoat to seal up the metal to ensure that no rust or corrosion occurs. Now on our passenger side wheel well, we're going to be notching out an area of our fender liner so we can slide our rails above our frame. You want to be just above our jounce bumper here. You'll see your center cross member here. You want to make the notch a little bit in front of that cross member because that's where our rails are going to be located. After you've notched out the liner, you may need to notch out the metal located behind it as well. You can go ahead and try and fit it. We've already checked it. It's a little tight, so we're just going to take a little bit of the metal out here. We're just using some tin snips to do that. Go ahead and remove the spare tire. This will give you a little more room to work. You don't have to remove it, but it'll make your life a lot easier. On our passenger side, we're going to be removing the heat shield here. You'll want to use a 13mm socket to remove the bolts that hold it in. You'll remove one near the notch that you made on the frame rail on the passenger side. You'll also have another bolt on the frame rail towards the rear of the vehicle from where you made your notch. Underneath on the cross tube that goes across between your frames, you'll have another bolt there. And then in front of the axle on the cross tube, you'll also have one up there. And we'll be using a 13mm socket for all of those bolts. With all 4 bolts removed, we can take our heat shield and remove it. We will not be reinstalling the heat shield. Now we'll take our front rail, we're going to put it in place. We want to make sure that our holes are facing towards the rear of the vehicle, the smooth side towards the front, and we want it angled with the point at the top. We're just going to push this all the way across to the other side. If it doesn't fit, you may need to widen it a little bit more. It's kind of a trial and error. You don't want to cut it too big, so I always recommend cutting a little small, try the fit, and then cutting out a little more if need be. After you've got your rail in, we're just going to take that and slide it towards the front. We'll now take the shorter of the larger diameter brass colored bolts that come in the kit. We'll then take the O-ring that comes in our kit and we're going to slide it over this particular bolt. This one's difficult to access, so we're just doing this now to make it easier to get our hitch installed in the future. We put this in the second to last hole to the far driver's side. You can see here it's be positioned roughly above our fuel tank. Next we're going to slide our rear rail in. The rear rail has pre-drilled holes in it that are offset to one side. We will want these to be closest to the frame. So once we get it in there, we're going to flip it upright and we want it to be like this. So keep that in mind as you're sliding it in. so you can make sure you can get to it to flip it that way. This one will just simply slide in just like we did our other one, all the way across till we are resting on the other side. We're now going to flip that rail just like I explained. To make it easier to do that, we're going to use an adjustable wrench. Just set that on there. And then flip it just like that. Once you've got it flipped up, just push it back until it butts up against the rail there. We'll now take our center section and set it in position. You want to make sure that you have the gooseneck hole offset towards the rear of the vehicle. We're going to work it up over our exhaust first. And once you've got it set up in there, we're going to take our front crossbar. We're going to slide it towards our brace here. We're going to line up the holes in it with our center section. We're going to be using the shorter brass colored bolts. We're going to go through our front cross member, then through the center section, and we'll be placing a lock washer and nut on the other side. It can be a little difficult to line all that up. We're going to get our bolt through on the left first that we had prepared. We got that one slid through. Place the lock washer and nut on it. And then we'll get one in on the other side. With one on each side, we can now go back and install the remaining two in the exact same way. It'll just be easier now that we've got one on each side holding it up. We'll now prepare the hardware for the rear cross member where it'll attach to the center section. We're going to be using the longer brass colored bolts. We're going to slide on a lock washer followed by a flat washer. We'll have 4 of these total once you're finished preparing. Now push your center section up till it goes in the hole that we drilled out previously. Push your rear crossbar flush up against the back side, and then take the hardware that we prepared and thread it into your cross member. After you've got one started on this side, it'll hold it up, making it easier to install the 3 remaining bolts. Now we're back on the passenger side. We're going to be installing the side rails. We're going to prepare the hardware, take the largest bolts that come in your kit, place on a lock washer followed by a flat washer. You'll have a total of 2 for each side. Take your side bracket and place it up on the side of your frame rail, lighting up the holes with the weld nuts that are in your frame rail. Take the hardware we prepared and thread it into those factory weld nuts. Now we'll attach our side bracket to the crossbars that we put in place. We're going to take our bolt, slide on a lock washer, followed by a flat washer. It's going to slide through the rear ear on your side bracket and thread into the rear crossbeam. These are going to be the shorter brass colored bolts that come in the kit. For our front crossbeam, we're going to take the bolt, we're going to slide it through the crossbeam and through our side bracket. Then we're going to slide a flat washer, lock washer, and finishing it off with a nut. We'll then repeat the same process on the other side. We can now go back and tighten down all our hardware. For our larger side bolts, we'll be using a 15/16 socket. We'll tighten on the rest of our hardware using a 3/4 inch socket and wrench. You can then go back and torque all of your hardware to the specifications found in your instructions. We'll now use a 1/2 inch drill bit to drill through the holes in the bottom of our truck bed where the center section already has holes. We're going to use those as a template and drill it out. We're going to repeat that for the 3 remaining holes. There's a total of 2 on each side. This is where we'll be placing our safety chain loops. We'll now take a little bit of Clearcoat. We're going to Clearcoat those as well, just like we did our other hole to protect them. And then take your U-bolts, slide them from the top down. Now back on the bottom side, we'll take the springs that come in our kit. We're going to slide the spring with the larger end facing up over our U-bolt, and take the lock nuts that come in our kit and thread them on to the U-bolt. We're going to repeat that for each remaining leg on the 2 U-bolts. We can now take a 3/4 inch socket and tighten up the lock nuts. We want to just tighten them down until they're flush with the bottom of the U-bolt. On our driver's side, we will install the handle, which will allow us to release and lock our hitch ball in. We're going to slide this into the open slot on the driver's side, and we'll get it through the center section as well. It's not a bad idea to notch this out, so that way your handle doesn't have any pressure on it. It can make things a little bit easier. Once you've slid your handle through, you'll bring it even with the release mechanism here. Take the carriage bolt that comes in your kit, slide it through the release mechanism and through the eye on the handle, and thread a nut on the other side. We can then tighten up that nut using a 13mm socket. We're just going to make a little trim here just to make it easier to use the handle. All that's left is to take your ball and drop it down into your brand new hitch. Release the lock mechanism with the handle on the side, and you're ready to go. And that completes our installation of B&W's custom underbed installation kit for B&W's companion fifth wheel trailer hitches.